Today I'm reviewing a special 65% compact keyboard going by the name of Cherry Xtrfy K5V2 Compact. We're dealing with the white version of it. I've actually had this keyboard lying around for ages. I never got around to giving it a try. That's going to change today. For me, it was a completely new and unusual experience using such a 65% layout. I had my challenges, but I also had some positive impressions. Anyway, these hot-swappable MX2A Red switches are very convincing. However, the keyboard's pricing varies greatly depending on where and when you order it. We're looking at a wide price range of $120 to $200 US. $200 I'd consider already way too much for what's being offered. $100 or $120 sound about fair and realistic though. Now, what special features does the Xtrfy K5V2 Compact ultimately offer, and what compromises should you be expecting? Included besides the keyboard itself is the detachable USB-C cable in all white, 2 spare switches, a keycap/switch puller, and of course the quick start guide, etc. As already mentioned, today's K5V2 Compact is an extremely compact keyboard, sporting the so-called 65% layout. Compared to a full-size model, there are a ton of keys missing, but most of their respective functionality is not lost with today's Cherry keyboard. They're accessible through workarounds. But I'll openly and honestly admit right away that I don't really enjoy using the 65% layout. Since I rely on the numpad on a daily basis, as well as on many F keys and the like, I'm very dependent on those keys. So this kind of layout is a major downgrade for me personally. The functions are in theory accessible, but only via FN combinations, which are a bit of a hassle at the end of the day. So such a keyboard would definitely be the wrong choice for me, but I certainly do not want to deprive others of the joy of such a keyboard, because from a technical perspective and in terms of quality, today's Cherry keyboard certainly does convince. By the way, I really like the aesthetics. Of course, the K5V2 Compact is not only available in white, but also in black and even in special designs. I find the transparent frame very attractive. As a matter of fact, it's even removable if you prefer a different look. The build quality is top-notch as far as I can tell. We're looking at a weight of 841 grams, and the keycaps are made of thick ABS, not PPT. Ultimately, a matter of preference, as long as the quality is good. According to the manufacturer, the K5V2 Compact features a sturdy metal plate as well as double layers of sound-dampening foam within. The resulting typing feel and sound are both satisfying. Typing sounds like this. At the bottom of the keyboard are 4 rubber feet, as well as 2 stands, which happen to be a bit stiff though. So we're only being offered 2 angles, that is with and without the stands. There are also no grooves for cable routing, so it's pretty much up to us to keep our desk as tidy as possible. At the heart of the K5V2 Compact are of course the Cherry MX2A Red switches, which offer significant improvements over predecessor switches. The actuation force remains standard for Red switches at around 45 grams. Also, a long lifespan of 100 million keystrokes is advertised for the keyboard, which is quite respectable. It should be noted that the MX2A switches are of course pre-lubed out of the box, so they actuate very smoothly without any scratching. Needless to say, the switches are hot-swappable. Of course, properly lubricated stabilizers ensure a clean and smooth typing experience too, without having to deal with unpleasant keycap rattling. So I really can't complain about ergonomics or the overall quality at all. Truly outstanding. I find it somewhat funny, yet somewhat special. We are offered 2 modes here, either USB 2 or 3 mode. the latter allowing for brighter RGB lighting. And since we are on the subject, the lighting is implemented really well. The keycaps are well lit and the colors come across well. The minimalists among you could of course turn all LEDs off completely. All of this is controlled without any software. In fact, there's no software available at all, which some will see as an advantage, while others will consider it a disadvantage. I'll admit that I would have preferred at least an optional software solution, as it would make many things a lot quicker. Nonetheless, there's a ton of customization you can do directly on the keyboard. This includes lighting, macros, media keys, and the like. Everything is accessible without software. It just takes a bit of getting used to and practice to get the hang of it. I find the option to control the mouse cursor via the keyboard funny, yet ingenious at the same time for certain use cases. It might be super useful for NAS systems without any other peripherals connected. A special feature the manufacturer advertises is the so-called super scan technology, which basically scans all keys every half millisecond and in theory should detect inputs lightning fast regardless of the polling rate. However, as a keyboard novice, I wasn't really able to notice any advantage in everyday use. Conclusion: the Xtrfy K5V2 Compact is impressive overall, even though I'm clearly not the right person this overly compact keyboard targets. Nonetheless, I have to judge fairly and as objectively as possible. The quality and features offered here are absolutely top-notch. Considering this is a 65% layout, many functions are not in fact lost, but simply accessible in a different, more difficult way. For the right target audience, the Xtrfy K5V2 Compact is, in my opinion, definitely worth recommending, although only at the right price point. About $100 sound about right. Anything more would be too much if you ask me. What are your opinions on 65% keyboards? Would you enjoy using such a slimmed down board, or would the key count be too low for you? If you enjoyed the video, I'd greatly appreciate a like, but needless to say, you could also just leave a dislike. With that in mind, thank you all for watching, and until the next one.